everybody, welcome to the Wisdom for Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Lelo. For those of you that are meeting me for the first time, I hope you feel welcome. You're going to enjoy this podcast. And for those of you that have been rocking with me for a while, welcome back, all right? I hope that you guys have been enjoying this season. I think we've had such amazing conversations. Just to remind you, we are on a journey where we're cultivating our wealthy lives, right? Not just financial, but we also are working on how our lives feel, all right? So I've been getting a lot of feedback from you guys, so please keep it coming. For those of you that have been rocking with us for a while, you're still dating us, you're still not sure. I'm hoping that at some point you're going to make a commitment and subscribe. But also like the video so that other people can actually find this content, okay? So, getting that out the way, today I'm going to have an amazing conversation with an amazing woman, right? So today we're going to talk a lot about entrepreneurship, about leadership, about her story. But I've got an amazing guest, right? She's an inspiring woman, right? A social entrepreneur, not just entrepreneur. So she doesn't just sell stuff that makes money, but she actually sells stuff that makes an impact. But I think something that blows my mind about her is that she started 4 businesses by the age of 30. And I don't mean like small businesses, like she's actually started 4 thriving organizations by the age of 30. Like, that's impressive, right, guys? But she is dynamic. She does so many different things, and I don't want to hold you up. So, ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you guys Lesedi Dawn.
Hello.
I need a thing. Bo, 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 bo. Welcome, Lesedi.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad we finally are here.
Oh, listen. I think we spoke about it for a while, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
We did.
I think we planned it probably when I was still doing season 1, at the end of season 1 or season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I really need a conversation with you. And we just never got around to doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad we're only doing it now because obviously the stuff is on video. The podcast is a bit labeled, you know.
It is.
It's there, you know. Right?
Yeah.
So I'm really, really glad that some conversations were delayed. Mm-hmm. But also you've grown so much. I feel like there's so much more that you can share now. And I'm glad to have you. So thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure.
On this hot spring day in South Africa. South African weather has been weird. It's been so strange. 1 week it's snowing. The next week it's a heat wave. You're like,
Wasn't it raining 2 days ago?
it was raining.
You see?
I'm like, 4 seasons,
Yep.
1 day. We're becoming like Cape Town, really.
Literally. Yeah.
Alrighty, cool. So we're gonna get started with some icebreakers.
Cool.
I love to start here. What is your favorite song at the moment?
Favorite song at the moment. I listen to very funny music. Like, the music I listen to when I'm at the gym is not the music I listen to when I'm at work or in my house. I'm a big Beyonce fan.
Nice.
I would say Riverdance, and I feel like a lot of people don't know that song.
No,
Everyone
I
knows,
don't.
you know, the same Texas, that's all that people go on about. But there's a song called Riverdance, and it's just so beautiful. That's my current favorite song.
Okay, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know what you're going to say to the next question, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to describe yourself as a color, what color would you be and why?
You do know the answer. My color would be yellow.
I knew it.
I am obsessed with yellow. I don't know. I think it literally encompasses my personality.
Love it.
I'm a very warm-hearted individual, creative, enthusiastic, and I feel like that's what the color is.
Mm-hmm.
That's who I am.
But also you're very bright, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and the city means light, right?
Yes, it does.
Like, you naturally are just like, you light up rooms. I like that about you.
Thank you.
You really, really do. Even your smile, you giggle. I'm like, it's just you. It's just you. Okay. If you could have dinner with anybody, and I mean, the person can still be alive or a historical figure, who would you have dinner with?
My answer is normally Michelle Obama,
Okay.
but I think, yeah, Michelle Obama.
Why?
I don't know where I was going with it, but Michelle Obama.
Why?
I don't know. I just love her. I've always loved her. I've read her books. I just love how she's a powerful woman that still knows how to run a family.
Come on. Beautiful.
We don't see that around a lot.
Come on.
We don't see women that do it with grace.
Come on.
So I look up to her for those reasons. So yeah, I'd want to sit down with her.
Matter of fact, I see that because when I think of the work that she does, the social impact, you know, and how she's very bold.
She is.
Right, but at the same time, she's got a softness to her that's she's got this
She
grace.
does.
I see you there.
Yeah.
Like you embody so much of some of the things that we've seen her do.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the work that you do as well, with the various organizations. But I think that's really, really fun. So I haven't been I have been on other people's podcasts, but they don't ask me these icebreakers. Is it? They don't ask me these ones.
Let's go.
Like they've asked me other ones, but if I had to choose someone to have dinner with, like listen to me answering my own question, okay?
Who would you have dinner with?
Do you want to guess?
I can't. There's this guy whose podcasts you watch. I don't think I know his name. I've just seen you post him. I don't know his name.
Okay, definitely would be.
Is it him?
I would have dinner with Lewis Hamilton.
Oh yes.
I would have dinner with Lewis Hamilton. Like, he is my ultimate favorite.
Why?
And I tell my son, firstly, because he's really handsome. So we ain't gonna play over that one.
Yep.
Really, really handsome.
Yeah.
But more than anything, I'm inspired by his story, his victory. Like, his story is just so beautiful, so relatable. And I'm just like, I look at his life and it makes me look for the beauty in my own life.
Amazing.
Like, I genuinely like that guy. Like, I'm just like, yo, Jesus, please.
I thought it was just because
I need to. No, it's not because it's no.
Story.
His story is powerful. More than any, like, even if he wasn't handsome, still, because
Are you sure?
I'm telling you. Oh, she doesn't believe me. Like, really, his story is amazing. But also just raising a boy. I was talking to my son about it this morning, actually, driving to school, because we do affirmations in the morning.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Right, and I'm, we're just speaking about school, because sometimes school can be tough, especially for a boy.
Yeah.
So he always comes home and he's got a little bit of sniggles. This happened. And I always remind him of Lewis's story as well. And I say, can you see how mega successful this guy is? But this is his story.
Sure.
Right? Like, this is where he started. He was struggling at school. Struggling with reading. Like, there's just so many things he struggled with. But he tapped into a natural gift. And I tell my son that I am determined to protect his natural genius.
Wow.
And I was using Lewis as an example. So anyway, to get off my own soapbox, it's not my icebreaker. Nobody asked me, but you just found out some stuff about me today. But I love that, Lesedi. One last question.
Yeah.
And I love this question because I feel like it helps us tap into our guests. If your life had a theme song, what would it be?
So, my favorite all-time movie is Matilda. Okay. And whenever I'm having like a bad day or anything, that's the movie I watch.
Wow.
And the song that I resonate with is, it's called Little Bitty One.
Okay.
And I think it's so beautiful because I think sometimes we see ourselves in our own eyes and not in the way that we were made and the potential that we carry. So I feel like that song is very childlike. It reminds me to stick to my innocence, my childlike faith. And when I do that, I move throughout life with less fear, with less anxiety, with less drama, really. And I just remain who I am. So that would be the song.
I love that. Like, and I love how you answered it. Excuse me, because you actually unpack why you do it. I think it's so deep. You thought about it. Did you watch other podcasts? Maybe you prepared this question.
Literally, I've never had this question asked before, but literally when you said theme song, that's the song that I thought about.
No, I love it. I love how it came to you.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, since we are doing this icebreaker for both of us, listen to me hijacking the city episode.
What would be the theme song to your life?
Matter of fact, I don't have one. Like, at the moment, I can't think of the answer because I love so many songs.
Okay.
But one day, in another episode, I'll answer the question. For now, I don't have an answer for that one. Like, I keep asking myself to be like, Lelo, you ask this question all the time. What's your answer? I'm like, I don't know.
A favorite movie?
I suck at movies.
Okay.
Like, I literally suck at television, period. And the song I'm thinking of right now is so ridiculous.
What is the song?
It can't be this.
What is it? We'll edit it back.
Matter of fact, I'm thinking of Jim Carrey in Cable Guy.
Which song? How does it go?
No, I can't sing the song. It's so embarrassing. Lesedi's messing up my episode right now.
How?
You know that scene where Jim Carrey's on the floor?
Yeah.
And he's singing about, do you want somebody to love?
Need somebody to love.
That one. Don't you need? That's the song that's playing in my mind.
Stuck in my mind.
Terrible song, and that's not my theme song. Trust me. I think it's just hilarious movie and hilarious song. Like,
it's a funny song.
And I think Jim Carrey just acts dumb, and I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. But anyway, thanks. Actually, I realize I'm having such a great laugh, and I love laughing, guys. I can't go a day without a gut.
That's good.
Kind of laugh.
Yeah.
But you know what? Maybe just to transition into the business for the day. Can you think of a pivotal moment in your life that made you decide, I want to be an entrepreneur?
Sure. 2018.
Okay.
August, I was in Thailand. So that particular year, I did a crazy thing. I wanted to go to Thailand. I'd never traveled abroad outside of work, neighboring like African countries. I'd never left the continent. And I wanted to visit Thailand. And I think I manifested it, but I didn't know what that was at the time. I just, for me it was, I want to go to Thailand for my birthday. I put it in my calendar. I did absolutely nothing about it the whole year. And I ended up winning a trip to go to Thailand for a week.
Imagine.
And while I was there, I saw so many young people, my age, some even younger, just chilling on yachts the whole day. And I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be at the office. I'm on leave. My life next week is going back. I'm like, that can't be. How do I extend this experience beyond just today? I don't want to go on a trip once a year for like a week and have that be my life. I want this to be my life. I want to be able to travel whenever I feel like it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's figure out how. So at that point, literally had a conversation with God on a whole boat, yacht, whatever you want to call it. And I just got downloads of a strategy in terms of how to start my first business.
Wow.
That trip changed my life.
That's incredible. Like, funny enough, I've known you for years, but I've never asked you that.
Yeah.
Like, I know about the winning a trip.
Yeah.
But I didn't know, why were the other people on the boat? Listen to me being biased saying the girls. I'm thinking of music videos.
There were girls, there were boys. Some of them it's maybe mommy and daddy's money. I don't know.
Okay, but some of them were actually entrepreneurs as well.
Probably, but it was a holiday. Everyone was just chilling. It was a 2-hour boat trip from main Thailand to what's called Kupi Island.
Yeah.
So that trip is like a whole 2 hours on the boat. There's no service. You can't be on your phone. So people were just soaking in the sun. Some were reading books in the little corners.
Love it.
And I was like, this is not making sense.
Beautiful.
How do I make this my life?
And I think that's beautiful, right? Because, and I said this in another episode and I'm going to say it again, exposure is always prophetic.
Yep.
Exposure is prophetic. God is intentional about what he exposes us to.
Sure.
Because he knows what he wants to trigger in us, right? Sometimes we don't know we want certain things or we're called to certain things until we see certain things.
Sure.
So he'll bring you into an environment to almost trigger that in you to be like, oh, you want this, don't you?
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes for God to give us something, he first needs to create a desire.
Sure.
But desire comes through exposure.
Yeah.
And so I think that you modeled that beautifully. So which business did you start? Like when you're saying the downloads, which business was this? And we're going to get into all of your business because this girl,
Well, at that time, I was doing social media marketing for some 5-star hotel in Polokwane. So essentially at that time, that became my first client. It wasn't much. It was 5,000 rand a month. But I had a 9-to-5. So this was just additional play money, I guess.
Good.
But it allowed me the space to be able to cultivate my skills. And in doing that, while I was in Thailand, then looking at how do I go into business, this was a skill that I had already, practiced and acquired and polished up. So I then started my digital marketing agency, Diora Media. That was the first business.
And I mean, with that business, and I say this to you all the time, and I really am not trying to just huff and puff.
Yeah.
You are so brilliant at that work. Like, Guys, I'm being serious. Hey, please check her out. Check out Leora Media because, and I don't know, I mean, now you've got employees, so I don't know if people get to interface with you directly, but you're such a natural at when somebody brings a brand or an idea to you.
Yeah.
You almost wait to connect with what the person is saying. And you also are just as excited about what they're working on as the client is. And I think you helped me when I started Young Mama. And I'll never forget how excited you were about what I was working on.
Yeah.
Like you connect with the brand, and I think that's just beautiful. So she's really brilliant at what she does. Like I'm actually not just like blowing stuff, right? Like, I'm not even trying to. So I think that's really, really impressive.
Yeah.
But you speak about how you started this business while you had a 9-to-5, and I think I don't want to skip over that because there could be people watching. I remember the other week there was somebody on my Instagram, on the Wisdom for Wealth Instagram, that actually commented saying, "I'm so glad I found you, because I'm praying for the courage to take the leap, to start a business and to one day leave my 9-to-5. But right now I'm still afraid." I think, I'm paraphrasing what this person commented, and, I responded. But what advice would you give to someone who is in a 9-to-5 that has entrepreneurial desires? What advice would you give them?
I think having a plan is important. You need to have an exit strategy.
Good.
You're not leaving one job for another job. It's not going to be the same salary. The hours are not going to look the same. So I say allow yourself to transition.
So
literally
good.
Allow yourself to transition. Obviously, you don't want to find yourself being fired by, starting a business that your current employer does.
Good.
So check your contract. Make sure that moonlighting and things like that, check your contract. But if you are starting a business that has nothing to do with your 9-to-5, then you are in the safe side. Use your weekends, use your evenings. That's how I started.
So good.
And also just research your industry. Get obsessed with how it works. Follow people that do what you want to do in that particular industry. See what their everyday life looks like. See what challenges they face. And also get yourself out there from a networking point of view.
Good.
And start building your personal brand before leaving your 9-to-5, so that when we even see you on the street, we already know that, this person does this. You want to become synonymous with what the business that you want to establish.
So good.
I feel like that helps you with getting clients, because already there's that level of credibility.
I love that because, the whole idea of moonlighting. So I didn't know this moonlighting word until we had coffee the one day. You're like, moonlighting, and you allow your employees to moonlight.
Yeah.
So that was the first moonlighting, right? So if you're doing the same work that your employer is doing, double check if that's actually allowed. I think that's a really, really key thing to do. But the idea of having an exit strategy, right? Like, what was your exit strategy?
Mine, I literally looked at the numbers. I put everything on paper. Okay, this is how much I'm earning. This is the lifestyle I want to maintain. I'm not trying to, decrease and have to move somewhere else. That for me felt like a shock, especially when you're starting business. Business on its own is already tough. Now to start a business and having to change your entire life, doing that at the same time is harder.
Good.
So I tried to minimize the amount of challenges that I was going to face. So I did the numbers. Okay, if I've got the one client that's paying me 5,000 rand, and let's say my lifestyle or my income is like on a 30,000, then okay, do I continue charging 5,000 rand, which means I'm going to need to have, what's the math look like?
Well,
6
if
clients.
it's 5 clients, 6 clients.
You're going to need to have 6 clients. But the reality of it is you can't have 6 clients and have a 9-to-5. You have to know when to jump.
Good.
That's the important part. And for me, I say jump when it's close enough to your salary.
Okay.
So it can sustain you. So if your income is 30,000 rand, but the cost of living is only 20, means you can jump when you get to 20. Because all your bills will be covered.
Sure.
You might not be able to do hair and so on and so forth, but your bills will be covered.
Shave
That's
your
what you want. Yeah. Shave your hair. don't have to
that's
do
so
your nails, figure out how to do your own gel at home. Like, there are ways of like cutting the costs so that also building a runway is important. So that
Absolutely.
financial runway.
Absolutely.
So not just waiting to have the clients, but while you are building that client base, your job is still paying for your bills, right? So it's not like you're using this extra 10,000 or 20,000 rand. Put that into a savings account that you can't really touch today, or at least you need some sort of a notice on so that you don't just splurge it, and make that become some sort of a emergency fund.
Absolutely.
Whether it has 3 months, 6 months of living expenses in it, so that at least you know you have some sort of a safety net to tap into.
I love that, because you're creeping into the finance part in terms of personal finance. And I say to people all the time, my finances looked different when I was in a 9-to-5, right? I was sure of certain things, and now that I'm in entrepreneurship, it's like there's certain things that come in windfalls, right? It's like periodic moments where it's like, okay, cool, I've got a good lump sum here, you know, and just learning how to navigate the finance side of it, because that's real, right? I read a study the one time that says most businesses in South Africa actually started out of necessity.
Sure.
And a lot of them don't make it past necessity because people were doing it out of survival and not really because they wanted to thrive. Right? So what happens is people get money and they get paid, but they're living from that same amount. So that money they're using that money to pay bills. And so they don't have an idea in terms of, how do I actually grow this business? Right? So I love that portion in terms of personal finance. In your experience, now that we're there, what are some of the challenges that come with entrepreneurship? Because you and I have had this conversation separately, right? To just be like, some of the things that are being portrayed, even on social media, about entrepreneurship, everybody is putting on a good look, right? Everybody is aware that social media allows you to build a brand. People aren't real sometimes about the realities of entrepreneurship. What are some of the challenges that you faced?
I think I'm a highly ambitious individual.
Oh yeah, I can attest. Very ambitious.
So I had to learn to be disciplined with my finances. Disciplined in terms of, I can see the bigger picture. I might not necessarily be there today. In year 1, maybe I must work from home. But that was not my reality. Month 1, I worked from home. Month 2, I went in an office. So those are just some of the things I had to like later on be like, whoa, slow down.
Internal.
Slow down. You're gonna get there, but it doesn't all have to happen at one go. So I got into a very big corporate lease. I mean, I started my business 6 months before COVID, September 2019. And March, obviously, the pandemic then happened. And I was about to sign a big contract. So I signed an office contract because, now I'm a big girl with a big client. I need a big office. And that deal fell through because we had, the president announce a family meeting. So that was my first and most toughest business lesson, is to not count money before it enters your account, and to also just be steady in terms of your growth.
Hold on, repeat that. Do not count money before it enters your account.
Yes.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge, especially in entrepreneurship, because then you're kind of like, don't worry, I'm going to get a deal just now. Let me go ask my mom to borrow me the 20,000.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Those are really, really good lessons to learn. I think in my experience, and I don't know if you can agree, when it comes to entrepreneurship, I feel like it's not possible for your business to outgrow you as an individual. Like, your business will always come down to the level of your own growth.
Yep.
And I feel like one thing that I enjoy about, I don't know if enjoy is the word, but one thing that I've noticed about my entrepreneurial journey is that it's required so much of me. Like my own growth as a person, right? Like how to handle failure, how not to personalize the failure, right? Like just learning certain things that were just like, right? Like entrepreneurship is requiring me to be a whole different person, right? To be a lot more disciplined around my time, setting better boundaries. Like it's really required me to really get myself together, especially emotionally, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can agree with that.
I definitely agree. I think entrepreneurship will also reveal some of your traumas.
Oh, yes, come on.
So if you are not good with money personally, or maybe growing up, money was not really always around, it's going to show in the decisions that you make in business.
Sure.
So,
and not just the money ones, even the emotional ones, right?
The emotional
if you're
ones,
insecure, if you're
rejection, how do you deal with that? How do you network? Do you even know your worth? How do you negotiate that and separate the business worth of your service versus your worth? If you are charging 10,000 rand for something, doesn't mean you as Lelo, you are worth 10,000 rand. That service is worth 10. So separation of the business and yourself. But like you say, you have to go deeper in terms of your own personal journey.
Absolutely.
For your business to even begin to rise up.
Oh my goodness. You're throwing a bomb there because you're speaking about the power of knowing your worth.
Yeah.
One of the things I've noticed, and there's multiple ways to unpack this, but one of the things I've noticed about entrepreneurship, even when I was in my 9 to 5, 2015, and I had a baking business at the time.
Yeah. Oh yes, I remember. I used
Right,
to
Lelo Bakes.
Yes.
Listen, we come from far.
Yes.
I still know how to bake, but I don't like it anymore. It's too much work.
Is it?
A lot of work.
I need a cake for my birthday.
Lesedi, I will order a cake for you. Don't worry, I've got a great baker that I use. Her name is Chantal.
Okay.
If you guys need Chantal's details, y'all better comment there. She's amazing, honestly. I'm gonna send her this episode because I just gave her a promo. She's amazing. She honestly is, and the whole family bakes. Like, it's a family thing.
That's amazing.
But we were speaking about know your worth.
Yes.
And the thing is about knowing your worth, and this is a struggle that I had when I was baking.
Yeah.
A struggle that I've seen lots of people that I give courses to.
Yeah.
People struggle with the idea of pricing accurately or effectively for their goods in terms of entrepreneurship. And I think it's really connected to how we see ourselves. Like you said, entrepreneurship is going to expose a lot of your things. It's going to expose your insecurities.
Yeah.
And I feel like people are shy to put a price on their work.
Sure.
Like, people are really, really shy. And I think when it comes to entrepreneurship, especially in the early days, I think it's so important to understand that your business can't survive if you're not pricing properly.
That's true.
Like, you will go out of business and go back to your job if you don't know how to price properly.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a lesson that I've had to learn. And it's still tough, right? Just saying it with your chest to be like, no, the cost is 7,000 rand. Bro,
take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it. Right? And being bold enough to say, I will stand in my truth.
Yeah.
Even if only 5 clients come instead of 20.
Yeah.
Right? How did you get pricing right? And look, and I think you might not think you've got it right. You let us know.
Yeah.
But I think you charge fairly. Like, I think you charge, like, you over time you've increased your prices a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but like, you've increased them. But tell us more about pricing.
So I think the mistake that we make, and you realize the change, right? When you work a 9 to 5, you know your salaries. I'm going to use 30,000 because that's ongoing. Or maybe let me use 20 because the math is going to mess me up. You make 20,000 rand a month, right? So you know you make 5,000 rand a week, which means you make 1,000 rand a day. That's what we are taught to train our minds when you're in a 9 to 5. When you shift out of that and into business, you can't use the same mentality, because then it means that you are tying down your time to how much you can make. Even if you decide to double, that means you can only make 40,000 rand because you've decided that the most that you can make in a day is 2,000 rand, right? So I've had to step out of that. And the way that I think I've managed to get pricing right in the different businesses is just also looking at the market.
Good.
So it has nothing to do with me. If Ogilvy charges 200,000 rand for my service, I might not charge 200,000 rand, but the next agency charges 100,000 rand and there's similar rankings, I can charge 50.
Yeah.
Like, it's okay for me to charge 50 because Ogilvy is charging, 200. In fact, you are winning by coming to me.
Yeah.
We're not doing each other favors. This is just work. So that's been what has helped me.
Yeah.
Instead of saying this is how much I need a month, because I think that's how a lot of people price.
Yeah.
To say that if I need to hit 20 or 30,000 or 40,000 in a month, I'm going to therefore charge this much. So that times 4 clients, this is then how much I'm going to make. What happens if you don't get 4 clients?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think Daniel Priestley has a book called Oversubscribed. And in the book, he speaks about how you don't determine the price, the market does. And I think that's important because firstly, that's a rule in economics, supply and demand.
Yeah.
But the idea is create your own market so that you can charge your own price.
Sure.
Right? Like,
Beautiful.
if you will create your own market,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I don't want to mention people's names, but we know there's some people, if you've got your own brand, people know you, they want to work with you, they trust your work. Listen,
you charge what you charge.
you can charge what you charge and
Yeah.
people will still come looking for
That's
you.
true.
So I feel like when it comes to that price piece, there's so much more that we need to look at beyond the service. But I think the whole point that you make about knowing your worth is so important. And I think the market can give you an indication in terms of what is the worth of my service at the moment, even though that's not my personal worth.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. Oh my goodness. I love that. I think you hit on so many different things that are so necessary in this entrepreneurial space. But let's talk more about your businesses, right? Like, you have started 4 thriving businesses at the age of 30. Right? Like, that is impressive. I'm inspired because the businesses all have a story. Like, I've noticed something about you. You don't just start something to start something. You start something you love.
Yeah.
You start something you care about. You start something that's going to have an impact. And I think that's beautiful because it really speaks to the idea. This is my thing, is that business, people sometimes treat business how the movies show us what business is, right?
Yeah.
So they show us business as just a way to get money from people. It's transactional. And they show business people as thieves or very crookery kind of vibes, right? But the thing I love about that social entrepreneurship that you speak about is the whole idea of how within business there's purpose. Matter of fact, I feel like all business should carry a purpose. Like, it should go without saying, right? Because I feel like business is a delivery system of value into society. It's how we deliver value, and value has to be something of impact. Tell us more about the 4 businesses you own and each of them, the impact you want to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
So started Leora Media,
Good.
2019 September, and that was a natural decision to make, or natural way to go about entrepreneurship, because I'd studied marketing.
Good.
Studied marketing. I was doing social media management. I figured I could package this, a bit better, and this could be a way for me to make a living, right?
Good.
So started that agency. Still running today. So that's the main business, the Lelo company. And then I started my second business, Aura Management, 2021. And it was
Please tell them why.
Yeah, it was during COVID.
Yeah.
And I obviously saw a lot of people were getting fired. Events were not happening as much. We're coming out of COVID, but a lot of people were unemployed. And I just saw a gap there. The young people that either probably studying, you're trying to find ways of making means or making ends meet. And I was on a trip with my sister.
That's what I want you to tell me. That's the part I want.
I was on a trip with my sister, and we're in Ghana. We're attending, we're working, but working for a wedding. And there were over 200 guests, and there were just these girls that were all wearing the same color dress. And I was like, what are they doing? Like, what's this? And it's called ushering, which is a very big thing in West Africa. I was like, we don't have this in South Africa. What is this? I think I can do it. It's just like, yeah, you could do it. You're really good with people.
Absolutely.
And obviously she's a wedding planner, and there's 1 or 2 suppliers locally that do that business, but it's not an overly saturated market. So she said, if you started, you'll get all my business.
Nice.
I mean, it felt Jewish at that moment.
It's good.
The way that we're going about it.
It's
but
very good.
At the end of the day, if you can deliver the service and you do it with excellence, I feel like that's all that matters. And for me, I really wanted to see young people gain a sense of independence without having to wait to graduate. Financial independence makes such a difference, especially in a young girl's life.
Absolutely.
Because it changes the sort of decisions that you make, who you date, what you do in life. You know, it's not out of a place of necessity. You're actually doing it with a clear mindset.
Come on.
Like you are not thinking about it because you're hungry. You know why you are doing what you're doing.
Oh, liberate your choices.
Yeah.
Come on.
That was the reason why I started the second business. And then the third one is Bold Women Africa.
Love it.
And I realized that there was such a major gap between the 9 to 5 and going into then business, entrepreneurship. Initially it was called Boss League.
Yes.
And I asked a few people in my circle, what do you think of the name? After I started it and I wasn't getting the sort of traction I was hoping for. And someone said to me, it's a bit intimidating. If I'm working a 9 to 5, I'm not a boss. So I feel like I don't have a sense of belonging.
Oh, so
okay,
good.
Thank you for the feedback. And then we changed the branding. We rebranded the company.
I love the colors.
And we wanted it to be, a space where people felt safe enough to learn, a space where people can come and network, exchange ideas, and where we can really just grow together.
Love it.
A safe space for women to be able to do that. So that's why I started Bold Women. And then the fourth business, Masa, it's my current favorite. I mean, can't say I have favorites, but it's the baby right now. Masa Luxury Co. is a home fragrance brand. So we do Sowex candles, room sprays, linen sprays, and diffusers. And the story behind that, because I was asked this last week at a networking event, and I didn't even realize the depth of it or where it was coming from, the inspiration at the time. But I went to the US in 2022 and I was not home for 6 weeks, and I knew I was going to get homesick because I went to boarding school. I know I can do 2 weeks away, but 6 weeks, you're asking for too much. And I decided I'm going to travel with my diffuser and just some essential oils, because I can't travel with a candle. TSA won't let you in. You can't do that in America. So I was like, okay, how do I bring a piece of home with me? I'm someone that loves fragrances. My house always smells really good. So I wanted to carry that with me. Like, we're going to be staying on campus because it's a summer exchange program. I don't know how the dormitories are going to smell like. How do I make sure that I carry a piece of home with me? And that's how it started. And I fell in love with fragrances. I fell in love with essential oils. And I came back, and last year just decided to learn how to make candles in my kitchen. And a few friends were like, okay, we want to order. Family was like, okay, this is actually really good. You made this. And yeah, I just started to, I guess, take it a bit more seriously. And now it's a business.
I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for following your interests.
Thank you.
Right? And I think there's so many people who wait for permission to do certain things or have ideas that they sleep on, because it's not about whether or not something becomes big or it automatically works. It's really about testing. Like, I really like this thing, I'm going to try it out. This inspires me, I'm going to try it out. And I think I've always said to you, if there's something I love about you, and I always say it in Vanek when I say it, and I'm about to say it in Vanek again because it has that thing, awi befatsi. Like, I don't know if you want to translate that.
I don't put myself down. I don't have low self-esteem.
Like,
my
it doesn't...
self-concept is... Kidding.
Like, it doesn't even sound the way I mean it when I say it in Vanek. Like, when I say it in English and when I say it, I'm like, those two don't connect.
I was trying to translate. Now
but
it sounds pompous.
It's not connecting. Yeah. But awi befatsi, and I wish so many people wouldn't put themselves down.
Yeah.
right? There's so many ideas God throws into our minds. I wish we would take them seriously. I wish we'd give it a shot, right? No matter what the outcome is, I wish you'd go in and say, I'm interested. I started baking because I liked baking. I just liked cake at the point. And I was like, I'd love to make this. Made it, loved it, did it. And when I was done, I was done. I was like, I'm over it. I'm okay now.
Yeah.
Right? But I love the fact that every single one of your business carries a story. It carries a level of impact that you see yourself making. But one thing that I pick out as well, and this is for the people who are listening, don't be afraid to just start. Don't be afraid to just start, because when you speak about starting in your kitchen, right, it's so important to just start. Sometimes we're waiting for the big thing. We're waiting for the big opportunity. It might never come if you don't show up, right? Like, I just love how you unpack the various things. But something else I also pick up from your story, and now I'm analyzing so that I can give them, what I'm picking up about it. It's really just allowing yourself to explore the various interests, right? You used what you had to get what you don't have. Right? So you use the fact that you've got marketing. Okay, I can start with that. Okay, but I'm interested in candles. Okay, but I'm interested in this. It's almost like use what you have. Start where you are with what you have, and go for it. Right? It's not going to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. But my encouragement, based on what Lesedi is sharing, is just start. Try it. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, that's okay. You've learned something. Right? I don't bake anymore, but trust me, the lessons I learned there, I'm using now in my current businesses. Okay? So I love that. Where do you see yourself going in terms of entrepreneurship? Like, what's the end goal?
I think the reason why I went into business, should I tell you?
Tell me, girl. Tell us. We are your people.
I was 24, going on 25, right? Just before the Thailand trip. It was a thought, but I didn't have the courage. It was just a thought that what I was doing at that time just didn't feel like that was going to be me forever. So I didn't know what my next was, but I knew that that was not it. I was in events, making good money, but the hours in events are very hectic. And being on my feet don't like that. So I wanted a way out. And the offices at the time were in Bryanston, on the same street where there's Brescia, right? Brescia House, it's a girls' school. And I'd hear the bell ring every day at like 2 p.m. And I'd just imagine, I want to be a mom one day. And I just imagined, being able to pick up my child at 2 p.m. if my child has ballet, being able to, go to the recitals, to the concerts. And I was like, oh no, you're probably going to be working that weekend.
Oh.
And my heart sank, because that was the reality, that was the trajectory, the journey that I was on. Chances are I was going to miss a lot of those big moments, and I didn't want that. I know I want to be a present mom. So at that point, at 24, it's like, okay, how does that thing look like? So right now, when I think about the end goal is just being able to be present in different areas of my life without having to trade anything for something else, especially when it comes to money.
That is so good.
Yeah.
That is so good. And I love how you're saying being present in other areas of my life, because success or wealth in any area of our lives requires us to be present.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't just happen. I like to say to people, wealth is not an accident.
Yeah.
It's really a series of intentional decisions. But I admire what you did with that whole Brescia thing and the child and everything, because this is what I imagine my coach saying to me as I'm listening to your story. Look at your life right now and tell me if how you're living currently is going to take you to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at where you want to go and you look at how you currently are living, do you think you actually are going to get there?
Yeah.
And I think you did that naturally.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful, because I think constantly we have to reassess our own lives.
That's true.
Right? Like, but there's an attitude I get about you. Like, and I like it. Like, there's a mindset that you have. As I was preparing for this, I was thinking to myself, because I pray about the episode, the guests,
It's beautiful.
I ask God, what do you want people to know? I might never have the full thing, but I'm always like, God, take center stage.
Yeah.
You know the people who are watching. You know the guest. Whatever they need to say, let them say it.
Yeah.
Whatever people need to get, let them get it.
Yeah.
Because this is a platform for that. But when I thought about you, I thought about how you've got an amazing mindset that sets you apart. And I want you to know that no matter, nobody is perfect.
Yeah.
We don't have to be.
Yeah.
Business can be challenging. We can make mistakes. We're growing.
Yeah.
You've got an amazing, amazing way of thinking. And I feel like that's what constantly will get you out of anything.
Thanks.
Right? But before you say thanks, Ngati, it's a present from me because I did not give this to you. How do you cultivate a mindset like that? Because you've got a mindset that doesn't stop at anything, that doesn't settle for less. You go for what you want. You challenge yourself. Where do you get this mindset from?
I'm curious. I remain curious. I never lose my curiosity.
So beautiful.
No matter the season, no matter how I feel like there's always another way of doing something. I don't have all the answers.
So good.
And something that I've learned recently, I feel like many of us go to people that are close to us for advice. I say don't.
Wow.
Because I will give you advice based on how I'm looking at your life and also from a point of my own fears, my own experience. But if my life does not look like the way you want yours to look like, how am I adding value to you by giving you advice?
So good.
So I always say to people, go to people that are close to where you want to be, not people that are close to you.
Ooh.
And I've just been putting myself in spaces where I get to expand my reality. Because like you touched on earlier, that's how you're able to know that certain things are possible. You don't know everything that you know. You haven't met all the people that are going to transform your life, but you have to put yourself out there and see what is out there so that you can see what's possible for you. Yeah.
So good. Like, you actually interview really well, by the way, because you also don't ramble. That's what I've noticed about you, because girl can ramble. girl can ramble. You actually interview really, really well. But my goodness, I think that is so, so beautiful. The whole idea behind curiosity.
Yeah.
And I think that's something we truly should never lose, even as we grow older. We really, really need to cultivate curiosity and to ask questions.
Yeah.
And I think entrepreneurship actually allows you to be curious because you constantly have to be searching for solutions to stuff.
Yep.
So stay curious. I love that.
Yeah.
That is so, so beautiful. But Lesedi, tell us, what does a wealthy life mean for you? And how are you deliberate in cultivating it?
I think for me, a wealthy life is a life that feels good. To me.
So good. To me?
Yes.
Highlights?
Yes. And what feels good to me is being able to decide what time I wake up, decide how my day flows, what is important that day, and getting to attend to that thing and not having to rush, leaving home every day for a specific reason. I think that part I've sort of gotten down a bit. But also I'd say the next level for me where I'm at is just being able to have more than what I need so that I can be a blessing to others. And not being able to limit the experiences that I have to just people that also have that. If I'm able to bless a friend and say, let's go to Cape Town on me, I don't want them to feel like they can't go to Cape Town because Cape Town is expensive, right? So for me, I think it's just that, being able to be a blessing, being able to have freedom and having choices.
Come on, choices
For me,
are powerful.
A wealthy life is having choices,
Come
having
on.
options. Do I want to stay there? Do I want to go there? Do I want to go to Europe this summer, or do I want to go to Australia instead? Do I want to go to Iceland next year? Like having choices.
So good.
And that starts with, just challenging yourself internally daily in, moving around differently to how you normally would. So I think that's
that is so beautiful. And I mean, I keep saying that is so beautiful. I feel like they should just put a sticker here. That is so beautiful. the whole time. That is so beautiful. You know, my brother says, sorry, I'm deviating. My brother says when people don't know how to speak English, all you hear is wow. Wow. That's what my brother says. Like, so actually, wow. I'm sorry, guys. I'm actually being rude right now.
No, it's good. It's a challenge, guys. Learn more words. Google wow and look at the synonyms for wow, so that, you know, in conversations there's more to be said. Like,
I am enjoying this podcast so much right now because I feel at home. Like, I'm not even trying to interview her. I'm actually having so much fun. Like, wow.
That word will never sound the same.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's how we.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Fine. But, geez, Lesedi, you've said so much. Like, I'm just like, but I really, really feel like God is in the room because it just, there's a flow.
Sure.
There's a flow with what you're saying. And I just love that piece about how wealth is really about choices. And I think that is so huge.
Yeah.
It's so important to have choices. The reason I'm passionate about wealth, one of the reasons, is to be able to build a life of choice.
Yeah.
Right? Because poverty puts people in a position where they don't have choices. Right? You sort of have to take whatever is given to you because you don't have options. But wealth buys you options. Right? And I think you paint such a beautiful picture in terms of how wealth can be used to get a life of choice and a life of options, right? Like, I look at my son and I'm like, I want him to have a choice. Whether he's going to university, whether he's going into business, I want him to have a choice. Like, guys, I studied, okay? I've got them degrees. I'm not about to force my child to go and get a fancy degree. Me. Honestly, I'm not. Like, in my household, it's not by fire, by force. Like, we will do something. We will be productive. We will be purposeful. But I no longer subscribe to the idea that a university degree equates to wealth or equates to success. I've got no business believing that. Right? Not to say people shouldn't study. I'm studying all the time, doing something. So please don't say to your parents, Lelo said, yay. Don't call me, okay? Wow. Wow. You know, but something else that you point to is the idea of generosity. Because, and I think this for me is the whole idea about wealth, is so that we can give at a higher level, right? And when I say wealth at this point, I'm speaking financial because that's what we've been primarily speaking about. But we can give at a higher scale, right? There's certain things that need to get done in our societies that are waiting on people with enough money to do them, right? I'm not about to call the government and beg them to give me money. But if I've got a business that is well functioning and I'm doing well and very profitable, I don't need to beg or sign a petition or ask for a grant. I literally can be an answer. Matter of fact, this is what I'm hearing in my spirit as I'm speaking to you, is that many of us are intercessors. But God not only wants intercessors, God wants answers.
Sure.
So some of us are not just called to pray for people. We're called to be the solution.
Sure.
And I think that's the powerful thing about owning a business and having more money given to you or having an abundance of financial wealth to speak, is so that you can be an answer in somebody else's life. And I love the piece about generosity. And it's not pompous to say, I want to take my friend on a vacation, right? That is generosity. A matter of fact, I'm that kind of person. I give things that people would think, I mean, that's a luxury. Why would you give it? Because I feel like there's a ministry behind giving.
Sure.
Taking somebody on a trip, you never know. You never know. It could be a Thailand moment.
Exactly.
For someone, right? Somebody could have prayed about Cape Town and you came along, you're like, here you go. And for them, it's like they're experiencing God in a new way. So I completely agree with you when it comes to that. But we're about to wrap up, right? And I just want to know, what is just some advice, any advice to any budding entrepreneurs in terms of their own journey, what would you tell them? If you had to sit down and mentor anybody today, what would you want them to know?
I'd say put your head down. A lot of people want to look big too soon, and it's going to cost you.
Sure.
Every step of the process is essential to who you are going to become. Because I believe that success is not something you achieve, it's something that you become.
Ooh.
You become a person that adds value, and in doing so, you get rewarded for the value that you add.
So good.
So put your head down so that you can do the work and you can harness your craft and you can get really good at what you do. I promise your work is going to speak for itself. Still attend the networking events, that's important. And when I say put your head down, I'm not saying sit in a room and only do the work. Still put yourself out there, go to networking events, but don't be in a rush to look successful. Yeah.
So huge. Don't be in a rush to look successful.
Yeah.
Right? And I love that whole piece about it's not just what you do, it's really who you become.
Yeah.
Right? And that's huge. Actually reminds me of what James Clear says in Atomic Habits when he speaks about how identity-based change, where it must flow from who we are.
Yeah.
I must first become that thing, right? So that I can embody certain things. Which is, for example, do you want to read or do you want to become a reader? If I'm a reader, I naturally read. If I'm reading, it's something I do.
Yeah.
But if I'm a reader, it flows.
Yeah.
So I think that's absolutely amazing. But before we go, I have a question that I have to all my guests at the end of every episode. I'm building a Wisdom for Wealth library because I want to build a space where people also cultivate their minds, where they're learning certain things, and just investing in their own education and understanding. So, is there a book that has changed your life in some way? It doesn't have to be specific to this, but can you name a book that has changed your life that you can suggest that our readers would look at?
Can I name two?
Absolutely.
So the first book would be The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Good. It actually reminds me of you.
That's the book that I took with me on holiday to Thailand. And the craziest thing was bumping into a monk.
Nice.
Which I was like, what? But that book is just going to do the mind shift that needs to happen.
Good.
When moving from a 9 to 5, what you'd be chasing versus what you then build as an entrepreneur. So The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And then second book is The Richest Man in Babylon.
Good.
It has such great principles on building wealth and how to get unstuck if you are in a sticky situation. Those two books.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for that. But Lesedi, I want you to tell people where to find you. Do you have anything that you're working on that you would like for them to support you in or to show up to? The camera's yours.
So on all social media platforms, it's at Lesedi Dawn, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, X, Facebook, and TikTok. I've got the Bold Women's Summit coming up on the 16th of November. It's taking place in Forest, Johannesburg. And it's just a great place to meet other women that are inspiring. And I might be sitting with one of the speakers right here. So yeah, that's an event that you should start or learn how to network from. So
Good.
You don't want to miss it.
Good. I love that. And by the way, Lesedi is a boss at networking. Hey, like I need to up my game. She's a boss at that thing. Like
I try.
when I say mutu high pay fancy, when I say she doesn't put herself down, she really goes after the things that she wants. But Lesedi, you're such a gift. You're such a blessing. And I feel like God is really going to use you in ways you could have never imagined. You're gifted. You're gifted. Like, never ever doubt the gift that you bring. And there's so many people who are waiting for you to come back and mentor them. I see you mentoring. I see you helping other people do what God has given you to do.
Yeah.
Even if you might not have the blueprint, you will become the blueprint for other people. I don't know why I end up prophesying to people at the end of episodes these days. I'm telling you, even on other people's podcasts, I'm like, Aibo, Holy Spirit, I see Bambi, but hey, we won't quench the spirit. Excuse me, but I see you creating a blueprint.
Sure.
for other people to leverage from, right? So God will not waste the exposure he's given you. It's not just for you.
Sure.
It's so that you can come back and tell other people what is possible so that they can know how to do it too.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I thank God for your life. Thank you so much for gracing this podcast with your wisdom, with your authenticity, and just really just coming and just opening up, right? Like people, because it's one thing for people to see you on socials and be like, and people steal her profile all the time. She's got fake profiles all the time, okay? But people don't copy people who aren't doing great things, right? It sucks. We hate it.
Yeah.
But it's also just a sign that there's something about you that is appealing, that people want, that people can use.
Yeah.
But I hope that from this conversation, people see that it's not just how you look or how your life looks, but it's also the wisdom that you carry for people to be able to cultivate their wealthy lives. So I'm so grateful that you'd come and join me. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. I'm so glad I came.
I enjoyed it so much and I laughed so much.
Yeah.
We will end it by saying, wow.
Wow.
Alrighty, so we good? Ladies, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that this was helpful, insightful, and that this is an episode that you guys will constantly come back to. I think if you are interested in starting a business, interested in venturing into entrepreneurship, or you are already an entrepreneur, I hope that you guys will connect with Lesedi. You'll stay tuned to this channel because I feel like there's just so many things that she dropped that you constantly are going to have to come back to. All right. So if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel because we're actually going to have a lot more content for you. Like, share, and if it blessed you, please share it with all your friends. Let them know they need to watch it. And I will see you guys again next time. Bye.